There is something that happens in yoga classes all the time that most teachers completely miss. And it's not because you're not paying attention or that you don't care about your students, it's that nobody taught you to look for this. You might notice that a student's breath is shallow or it's fast or their jaw is tight or clenched and they're holding their hands like fists in Shavasana. And after class is finished, they get up and they quickly leave. Many teachers would think that this student just had a little trouble relaxing because, yeah, some people experience this difficulty. But what's actually happening is that their nervous system has been signaling something to them the entire class. And without the language to understand those signals, it's very easy to miss them completely. I'm Monica, and today I want to walk you through the nervous system signs that once you learn them, you'll be able to spot them in students in your classes. I'll explain what they mean and how you can respond in ways that will help. This matters enormously when you're working with students who have pain or injuries because nervous system dysregulation and chronic pain are deeply connected. But honestly, this is useful for every student in every class that you teach. So let's start with some simple context here. The nervous system is always doing something. It's constantly assessing the environment and asking one primary question: am I safe right now? When the answer feels like yes, the system can settle and the student can actually receive the practice that you're offering. When the answer feels uncertain or like no, the system mobilizes resources to protect the person, and that mobilization shows up in the body in ways you can see if you know what to look for. There are three main states that you'll observe in your students, and I want to describe each one clearly so you can start to recognize them in your classes. The first is what we'd call sympathetic activation or fight or flight. The nervous system has assessed that something feels threatening, whether that's a stressful day or a room full of strangers, physical pain, or something much like older that their body is still remembering. And it's responding by preparing the person to fight or to flee. Their heart rate is elevated and their attention is scanning for threats rather than settling inward. What you see as a teacher might include rapid, shallow breathing that stays high in the chest, difficulty exhaling fully, tension in the jaw, maybe their shoulders that keep shrugging up towards the ears even after you continue to cue them to soften. You could see fidgeting, adjusting, or an inability to be still. You might see them clenching their hands. They might keep their eyes open when you cue students to close them and quickly getting out of Shavasana. And this is what you might notice without knowing why they seem to be in such a rush. These students are responding how someone with a nervous system under perceived threat is supposed to. What they need from you isn't a cue to relax because you can't override a protective response by simply instructing the body to stop protecting. What they need is an environment and an experience that gradually signals safety. The second state is what we call parasympathetic shutdown or freeze. This one is a little bit trickier because it can look like relaxation when it isn't. The student seems heavy and still. Their face is flat without much expression. Their eyes look glassy or unfocused, or it looks like they're looking beyond you. They move slowly and mechanically, and they seem to be a little bit delayed in responding to your cues, like they're hearing or listening to you from somewhere far away. This is the state of overwhelm, when their nervous system has experienced more than it can process. It sometimes moves into shutdown as a form of protection. The student is present in the room, but not really available in the way another student with a regulated nervous system is available. They're not deeply relaxed, and it feels like they've gone completely offline. These students need something different than the fight or flight student. Trying to deepen their stillness won't help because they're already too far into shutdown. What's more useful is very gentle, sensory based engagement, small movements, orienting cues, inviting them to feel something specific in their bodies. The third state is what we're aiming for, and it's the window of tolerance. This is the zone where the nervous system feels safe enough to actually receive experience. The student in this state breathes naturally and can deepen or slow their breath when you cue it. Their face looks soft, their movements are fluid rather than forced or mechanical. They seem present. When you offer a choice in a pose, they actually explore it rather than freezing or rushing through it or past it. This is the state where learning happens, where healing can occur, and where yoga actually does what we hope it will do for our students. You probably have students in all three of these states in the same class at the same time, and the cue that helps one person might not help another at all. A long, slow exhale will be deeply regulating for someone in fight or flight, but for someone in shutdown, it might actually deepen their disconnection because it asks them to go further inward when they already are too far away. Grounding cues, pressing palms into their mat, feeling the weight of their body are helpful for activation states, but can feel pointless or confusing to someone who's already collapsed. This is why developing nervous system literacy changes the way you teach. Rather than offering the same cue to everyone and hoping it's received by every student, you start to read what's actually needed and respond to that. So, what can you practically do with this in your classes? When you notice signs of activation, slow everything down. Give the next instruction before the transition happens rather than during it so that there are no surprises. Offer extended exhale breathing, making the exhale longer than the inhale because this activates the vagus nerve and begins to signal safety to the nervous system. You can use grounding language to help them feel the floor, the weight of their own body, the support that's already there. And keep your voice calm and unhurried because your nervous system is actually communicating with theirs through your tone. When you notice signs of shutdown, bring in some gentle movement rather than deeper stillness. Ask them to notice something specific and sensory, the temperature of the air, the contact of their hands to their mat. Make gentle eye contact if that feels appropriate and natural. Sometimes even making a question for students to answer to themselves, like, how does that feel, can help bring someone back online. And for the students who are regulated, your job is simply to maintain that environment of safety and offer appropriate challenge. Don't disrupt a regulated student with an overstimulating sequence just because some people in the room seem bored. Boredom and the window of tolerance are not the same thing. Most of our students don't have language for what they're experiencing in their bodies. A student in fight or flight doesn't come in and say, my sympathetic nervous system is activated. They come in and say they feel tense, or they had a terrible day, or they're just here to move. A student in shutdown might not say anything at all. This is why developing your ability to read these signs is so much more valuable than waiting for students to tell you what they need, because often they don't know themselves. The more you practice observing, the more automatic it becomes. You'll start to see nervous system states in the way you already see alignment patterns as information the student's body is offering you about what it needs in that moment. This is one of the most meaningful things I teach in the Teaching Students with Injuries mentorship, because nervous system function is woven throughout everything we explore together. When you understand how a regulated nervous system supports healing and how a dysregulated one creates barriers to healing, your entire approach to teaching shifts in the most wonderful way. If you'd like to explore that work with me more deeply, the link to learn about the mentorship is in the description below. And I'd love to know in the comments whether any of this resonates with what you're seeing in your classes. Don't forget to subscribe because I've got more teaching videos that will help you understand your students and their experience in your classes.